Beaus, it's Jennifer of Custom Chic, and if you're new here, welcome back to my channel. This channel focuses on fashion, travel, and just overall lifestyle, and today we are going to be talking about travel etiquette. I know what you're thinking. We're all locked down, we can't get anywhere, but your mind is thinking, I know you are planning what trips you are going to go to as soon, and I mean as soon as this ban is lifted. I know I am. So I want to share some tips that have helped me and some of my friends while we're traveling. We're going to look at my outfit real quick. Yes, I got my hair braided. If you have noticed, let me give you guys a close-up. She's cute. She goes down, but right now she's in a halo. Anyway, I got my hair done as a protective style. Obviously, everything is closed. You can't get your nails done. You can't get your hair done. You can barely order Chipotle. I mean, it's a lot going on. Otherwise, let's get into this outfit and then we will get into the video. All right, for today's video, I'm wearing a pair of Joplin Paperboy waist jeans. They're also called carrot style jeans. They're kind of popping up everywhere. I'm seeing them on a lot of influencers and a lot of the blogs. I paired it with a voluminous sleeve with floral detailing. I picked this up from Ross in one of my random excursions. And then I just threw on a pair of white Steve Madden pointy toe pumps. And that's our look for the day. Are back. Before I get into the tips, I do want to say I know I just made a little joke before we played the intro about everything being locked down. Obviously, this is still a serious matter. We have people, literally medical professionals, I know some personally, who are putting themselves out in the front line. So let's be good about adhering to the federal, state, and local ordinances, especially if you're one of those states that has a lot going on. The sooner we get through this, the faster we will be able to adhere to these tips. So tip number one, dun, 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 dun. This may seem actually like self-explanatory, but know where you're going. The first tip is know where you're going. So when I say that, I mean learn about your destination, right? Look around the time or research when you will be landing, when your vacation will take place, in respect to maybe some cultural events and some holy events. I know there's some countries where you go to and you cannot consume alcohol during certain periods of time, just because something is happening or it's considered a holy holiday. Morocco, for sure, it is a dry land. Dubai, same thing. You have to literally purchase your alcohol if you're into that at duty free. Otherwise, you will be drinking tea, which is obviously phenomenal, or water. So know where you're going. Do a little bit of research. Obviously, you still want to have a little bit of that wow factor, right? That's what all travel and exploration is about. But make sure you understand the cultural and religious norms of your destination. Figure out what is important to them. Did they just recently get over a war? I know when I went to Cuba, obviously, you know, the restrictions had just been lifted, but a lot of people were still in that war mentality because they had been closed off for so long, right? That they were under a dictator. That's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Okay, they were under censorship, maybe I'll say that, for a little while before being opened up to the United States. I know people from Europe were able to visit Cuba, but American citizens were not. So when we got there, or when I visited, a lot of the people that I spoke to were still talking as if the revolution happened literally 2 days ago. And I remember being so intrigued because I thought, wow, it's been a couple of years, like decades. But anyway, that is an example to say, you know, make sure you understand what is actually happening within the country you are visiting, so that when you get there, you are not shocked as to how people are responding either to you or how you are responding to what is currently happening, right? Obviously, exploration is the fun part, but make sure you do a little bit of research, know where you're going, know where it is on the map, right? What languages they speak, and that way you can better enjoy your experience, because you don't want to get somewhere and be expecting to have tons of fun and then the country is closed down for whatever reason that you did not know. Google is your friend. You can find out everything about their religious beliefs. You can find out everything about their religious holidays, any cutoff times, anything. So make sure you understand where you're going. You do a little bit of research. Google, Google, Google. Okay, so tip number 2. Learn the language. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you need to like be completely fluent in this language, but learn a little bit, at least the very basics, right? You can learn hello, you can learn goodbye, you can learn maybe how to ask for something, or maybe how to order a meal that you have already determined that you will be liking to try. Yes, food is very important when we travel, so learn the language. There's definitely apps for that. I know there's Google Translate. I've used a couple of different apps, and I'll probably just drop those in the description box. I know when I went to Brazil, I traveled with a couple people who were Spanish speaking, so I was able to get away with that. But I did download the app just so I can, you know, find out just some terms that I could say if I did wander off by myself. Also, lingo. I know lingo and language sound the same, but they're different. So some countries have physical lingos that completely communicate one thing to another. For example, in Greece, when you're greeting someone, a head nod is considered impolite. In America, we nod our heads up and down all day long and twice on Sunday. In Greece, that's not going to work. Why? Because it's considered impolite. So you want to find out little things like that about the places you're visiting so that you're not unintentionally being rude to the locals or just like offending someone without even trying. Like you don't want to do that. I remember when I visited Japan, I found out that fruits were considered a delicacy. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So little quirky things like that. So if you went to a fancy dinner in Japan, you can bring someone, say, a watermelon or something like that, and it would be highly regarded because it's considered a delicacy. Another one that I know of is in China. Well, okay, let me reverse that. Here we are so used to personal space. Like, right, give me 50 feet, especially during social distancing. I need about 6. Like, in every single direction, I need 6 feet. Yeah. Well, in China, normally outside of the whole COVID pandemic, they're a densely populated country. So personal space is not the same, or does not have the same meaning as it does here in the States for us, or maybe perhaps in Europe. There's people on top of people in trains, in the train stations. When I went to Hong Kong, like, you think New York City has a lot of traffic and just a lot of people walking around all over the place? No, Hong Kong had them beat. Same thing for China. Like, it's massive amounts of people all at the same time moving in a bunch of different directions. So if you are one of those people who prefer to be left alone, and you are maybe a germaphobe, or maybe you just don't like to be in spaces with a lot of people, take that into consideration while you're traveling, because what happens is you will end up taking that frustration out on the locals. And remember, you're the visitor, or I'm the visitor, right? So it's not their fault that you have these little quirks about yourself that they now have to appease because you are in their home country. So that's something to take into consideration. Learn the language. You don't have to learn a whole bunch of stuff or be completely fluent. You don't have to be reading and writing and all of that in Portuguese or Swahili or Afrikaans. But you certainly want to get a little bit of what you need so that way you can get by, right? So that you don't go hungry, you don't get lost, and yeah, you don't go hungry, you don't get lost. Those are probably the 2 most important things, right? And let's go to tip number 3. All right, tip number 3. So my last international trip was to Ghana. If you guys have been following this channel, you know that. You know I went to Afrochella. That was a great time. Now, before I get into that story, I'm going to tell you why you guys are going to like this tip. So my next tip is to be well-mannered and polite to the locals, right? Again, you are the visitor. You are visiting their country. They are allowing you in. Well, they and your passport and your coins are allowing you in. So you are now sharing their space. This is their home. So make sure to be polite. Make sure to be patient with them. But that is within reason. Now, I've traveled to a couple of African countries, and some of them can be a little aggressive. What do I mean? So there's typically like food vendors who will walk up to the cars and, they will try to hustle you, get you to buy this, this, and that. none of them compare to any country that I've been to. None of them compare to the ones in Ghana or the Congo. They will literally, if you are deadlocked in traffic, they will follow your car knocking on the window. And it's almost like you almost feel bad that you're not purchasing this thing, but they're doing it intentionally, right? And some of them get in your personal space. I remember New Year's Day, actually, my friends and I were walking back to our hotel, and this little boy would not, like for the life of us, stop following us. He just kept following us, kept being rude, kept saying all kinds of things, and it was like, okay, little boy, like, cut it out already, you know? So to the extent that you can, be patient with the locals, right? Be kind to them, be polite. You are visiting their country, they are sharing their country with you. So make sure that you understand the lingo that we talked about as tip number 2. You understand the geography or maybe what cultural things are happening right now that's important to them. And then take that into consideration before reacting during an interaction with one of the locals. Tip number 4, let's get to that. Okay, tip number 4 is do not take pictures of people without asking their consent. This actually works in the reverse as well. Don't let people take pictures of yourself unless you say it's okay. Like, I have been to Israel. I was in Israel with my cousins, and I remember this lady, she would just not stop taking pictures of us, or she would not stop taking pictures of us, and we were like, did she ask you? Did she ask you? It just became this weird thing because we didn't know what she was going to do with the pictures. We couldn't fathom why she was taking them. I mean, granted, some people live for that like paparazzi Hollywood lifestyle, but there's an exchange of money somehow for those things, right? Or these people are famous enough that they're being paid. Yeah, not my ministry. So I will never shy away from telling someone that they cannot take my picture, or just kind of like blocking it, but very politely. Oh, look at this hair trying to get away. Sorry. But blocking it very politely, so I'm not I'm not offensive to anyone, even though they're taking the picture of me without my permission is also offensive. But yeah, you also don't want to do that to people. Sometimes when you're in a super populated like tourist location, there's people standing all over the place, and there may be a language barrier there. I would not shy away by like tapping someone on the shoulder or maybe getting their attention and just saying it in whatever language you speak. Say, excuse me, or, you know, I'm trying to take a picture. People understand, and people are also courteous about like picture taking time. You don't want to take 25 minutes, you know, at one spot when you can see right behind you there's like a whole line of people waiting. Now, you do want to get the pic. You definitely want to get the pic. But make sure you are courteous to other people and other tourists, right? So not just the visitors, because the locals are probably not going to be there unless they're your tour guides. But yeah, don't take pictures of people without their consent. Vice versa, don't let people take pictures of you without your consent. And if you are taking pictures, be mindful of your surroundings and other people who are waiting. I was in Iceland a couple of years ago, and we literally waited online for like 25 minutes just to take pictures on this plane that had crashed. And as we're waiting, obviously more people are coming. And when we get to our turn, there's a couple who is now frustrated that we've been taking pictures for 5 minutes. Okay, well, there's 5 of us. We waited our 25 minutes. You put that together, that's 30 minutes. Slow your roll. They weren't very happy about that. Anyway, don't be those people, right? Like, just be as courteous to other people as you would want them to be to you. So tip number 4, again, don't take pictures of people without their consent. Don't let anybody take your picture without your consent. And then also be mindful when you are traveling and when you're seeing all of these like super heavy populated tourist destinations that you are kind of snapping your pics and, you know, doing it so that other people can have the same chance. Okay, tip number 5 is be mindful of like historic places and memorial sites. I know earlier we talked about just being mindful of where you were going. So if there were maybe cultural events that were happening or some kind of historical event that was taking place, that's one thing. But I'm talking about like actually visiting a structure once you are already there. Some of these places have thousands and thousands of years of history and mean something very special or particular to the locals. So we always want to make sure that we are respectful No, respectful. That's not how you would use respected. We always want to make sure that we are respectful of those landmarks and just honoring them to the best of our ability. I know when you go to Thailand or any country really that hold mosques or have mosques, they do ask people to cover up, right? Like, so if you have on shorts or maybe a skirt, they will give you something additionally to wear to cover yourself. Some countries are, I don't want to, some countries are particular about like your upper, like your upper body, like making sure that that's not showing and that you're covering, you know, cleavage or things of that nature. So be mindful and be respectful. I know sometimes the temperatures don't really work. So if it's easier for you to carry a scarf with you, something very light, you know, that you can just throw on. If you don't have it, 9 times out of 10, it will be sold outside of wherever you're going to visit because they are just that respectful of that historical site. So be mindful of that because that is a thing. I'm trying to think of where else I went. Definitely in Dubai, when we went to the mosque, we had to be covered from head to toe. And it wasn't, obviously it's a respect thing. Remember, I'm the visitor. I'm going to see this place, so I want to make sure that I'm not offending people while I'm doing this. So definitely experienced that in Dubai and in Thailand. I can't think, maybe in Bali when we went to go visit something. But definitely be mindful of that while you're packing, and then if not, while you're out on the markets, just pick something up. It's super, super cheap. So you definitely want to make sure that you are being respectful of those areas. This next tip that's coming up, you guys are going to love it because it's the best one. It is definitely the best one. It's food. My next tip is about food. So food is probably one of my favorite things while traveling. Shopping, relaxing, reading, and food. Or food and shopping. Or shopping and food. Well, food is kind of sustenance-like, so we'll put food first, right? We need to eat. And food is so tricky on vacation because if you think about it, we already have our sort of like quirks about eating and about food when we're home. So just imagine how elevated that can become once you're traveling. And if things are not prepared the way you typically prepare them, that can turn a lot of people off. And sometimes I think the miscommunication or the misunderstanding about how food is presented and prepared in other countries is a big reason why some people don't enjoy their trips. I think you don't enjoy your trip if you have a disappointment in food because you have an expectation probably that you should not have, right? Just think about it. You are going to a different country, so you are going to experience foods in a completely different way. It's prepared differently. It has different meaning, the way they cook it, cultural things, all of this stuff goes into play. So let's start off by talking about how food is presented. Keep in mind that some countries, when they think of fish, they are serving you an entire fish, right? It looks like Nemo. It's got the head, it's got the tail, it's got the scales, it's got the bones. You may order a fish here and it's a fillet. Well, keep in mind that you may not always get a fillet in a different country because one, they don't eat it that way, right? In some countries, it's better to eat the fish whole and it's a better, let me say, culinary experience. That may not be your thing, but you should know that. If you're going to return the dish, if that's allowed, because some countries, what? Return the dish? Like, you ordered it, so you're gonna pay for it. And even if you return it and order something else, you're paying for both meals. We're not comping meals here, right? Like that's not really a thing. Keep in mind that you ordered this dish, right? So the restaurant in whichever country you go to, they don't know, they're not aware of your culinary restrictions unless you tell them. And sometimes even if you do, there's a cultural and language barrier that doesn't get your point quite across to them. Be patient. Don't get upset. Like, just try to be as nice as you can during this return process. I know you're hungry, but keep in mind, you ordered the food, right? You're the visitor. You're the tourist. Keep that in mind. Don't get indignant. Don't get irate. Don't do any of those things. What else? Condiments. Condiments is a big thing. In Europe, Europeans, myself included, I'm not European, but I'm saying myself included, I love mayonnaise. I love mayonnaise. In Europe, they will serve you mayonnaise as the default condiment, while Americans, we love ketchup. Not only do we love ketchup, we love Heinz ketchup. So if you're expecting that you are going to get the Heinz ketchup, mustard, relish, what's that other, sauerkraut with your hot dog, you know, in the streets of Venice, probably not a thing. You probably shouldn't be ordering that anyway, but I'm just saying. Be mindful that what is normal to us is not necessarily normal to them, and vice versa. So if you are expecting to have a double cheeseburger with no onions, a Coke from the fountain, and whatever from the McDonald's in Paris, you probably can very well order that. I can probably bet you that it's not going to taste the same. The water's different. The factories are different. You know, the ingredients are different. While it's the same menu, item on the menu, it's just going to be different. So my biggest advice is to be patient when it comes to food. Make sure when you're ordering that thing, you like it. Now, if you find something at a restaurant and it's probably considered like a local dish that's really popular, just keep ordering that. Save your whole travel party like the drama. Keep ordering the same thing until you get home, and when you get home, you can have your, sauteed whatever scallops with sauerkraut on the side, if that's your dish. Like, just save that for home. But don't minimize don't minimize your experience because your food experiences weren't good. Just be a little patient. Try some new things out if you're adventurous with food. If not, just keep ordering the same thing. And to save everybody some time, just keep your food dislikes or distaste to yourself. I promise you'll have a better time, and your friends will too. Next tip is just be mindful. We all have heard the saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans. Cell phones and technology is everywhere, but just be cognizant, right? Like, before you start whipping out your cell phone at the Louvre, or you, want to take a screenshot or want to take a selfie or a group pic of some place or with all of your friends, just make sure that you see either somebody else doing it or you ask that it's okay. Or if you would have done your research, you kind of would know, you pick some of these things up, and as you're talking to locals, you kind of get a better feel for the city. So to go over these tips again for once you're there, right? So my first tip is know where you're going. So understand if there's any historical events going on, some religious stuff going on. Did they just get out of a war? Just little things like that to help you better understand the cultural environment of your destination when you get there. The second thing is to learn the language. Learn some lingo. Figure out what locals respond to, what's a dead giveaway for things that tourists say. All of this stuff is Googleable. Try to say that a couple times fast. There's apps for all these things. Google Translate. So there's a way you can figure all this stuff out. Again, you don't have to be completely fluent in this language, but you can understand, you can learn some of those things. Next tip is be patient, be kind, be polite to the locals. Remember, you are the tourist. You are visiting. They are sharing their country, their space with you. So make sure that we don't do anything either intentionally, but certainly unintentionally, to offend anyone. We want to make sure that we present ourselves. I never want to be known as like the American before I even open my mouth, right? Granted, there's some outside agitators or aggravators that will maybe take you to that point, like the little kid who was following us. But to the extent that you can, right? Make sure you're polite and that you are patient with the locals. The next up is be mindful of historical and religious places. If you have to cover up, more than likely most of these places will have something for you to put on if they don't deem you appropriately dressed. And that doesn't mean that you're out here like showing a whole bunch of cleavage, but if this particular site requires that your legs are closed, then I'm sorry. Whoa. site requires that your legs are not shown, not closed, then they will offer you some kind of accommodation, right? And it's usually like a very meager fee, like, I don't know, 10 cents or something like that. Next, we talked about food. Be very patient and cognizant about what you are ordering. Make sure your expectations are level to where you are. If you are at a 5-star restaurant in a foreign country, they probably can and will accommodate you more than like a mom and pop shop who are also just trying to make a living. Understand that something you may order in the States will have a different presentation and preparation than what you are used to, and that's okay. And you cannot like that item, but just don't get irate when you're sending it back, because at the end of the day, you ordered it, right? So I think it's safe to say that the restaurant owners can assume you knew what you were ordering. And even if you didn't, that's not really their problem either. So I hate to sound like that, but you just want to be cognizant. You want to send things back and you want to be polite, because they're probably going to try to accommodate you if they do. If they don't, just order something else. If you find a meal that's a local like dish that you love, order that everywhere. Your entire trip. Figure out the different ways that it's made, right? Like, just figure out where you like it best. I'm telling you, you will have a better experience. Your travel companions will enjoy you and thank you more for that. And lastly, I think the overarching tip that I have that I just listed is just be patient and be kind, and understand that you are visiting somebody else's world. So you would want to be treated, you would want to treat them or act in a way that you would expect someone to act if they came to the Americas, right? And then lastly, just a quick tidbit about in-flight etiquette. If you're able to, try to travel and sit with your friends. If you're flying solo and you're meeting them there, this also applies. I pack certain things that I definitely have to take, and I think what I'll do is I'll make like a travel essentials video, at least for like carry-ons and things like that. But make sure you're cognizant of the person that's sitting next to you. Definitely take some earbuds, some, let's see, travel sock. You know what? I'm going to stop that right there. I think I am definitely going to do a travel essentials video, and that is going to be part 2, of this video. So if you want to see more of that, then definitely stay tuned. But if you stuck around this long, I appreciate you guys for watching. Don't make sure to like, click the subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know every time I drop a video, which is every Wednesday. And then moving forward, it'll be Wednesday and Fridays. Super excited about that. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. I can't wait to talk to you next. I hope you can't wait to see me next. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.